gosh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to click the record button. So she will definitely answer questions as she can in the chat, and then, you know, I'll kind of do my best to answer your questions as well, because we want this to be as useful as possible for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And I'm gonna share my desktop just in case I need to leave Zoom. I have this bad habit of not noticing when I am leaving Zoom. Okay. Do you see my presentation? Yep. Excellent. Okay. So I wanted to start just by saying, you know, is this the workshop for you? And basically, if you are okay with people just like, where are you right now in your just learning? Are you okay with me just throwing a bunch of stuff at you and just kind of picking and choosing what you want? If so, you're in the right place. If you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and you're not really looking for streamlining, you're looking for, I just need some help, then what I'm going to ask you to do is like schedule a meeting with myself or Elsa or Laura, or jump into our office hours and we can give you the help that way. I don't want this to be something that just overwhelms you more because I'm just throwing a bunch of ideas at you. So I won't be offended if you realize like this isn't quite what you're looking for, but really I'm just trying to find ways to share the different streamlines that we've learned from teachers or from the reading that we've done. A la carte, yes, a la carte. So today we're hoping to kind of cover some pulse checks, some streamlining of daily routines and communication, the use of Schoology, kind of just a real quick piece on how we can help use instructional aids in our classroom, and also making technology work for our kiddos. So that's kind of the overview of what I have planned, but we'll see where we go. So as far as pulse checks, one of the ones that I prepared for you is here. And if you go to our, if you go to the invitation, you'll see it. I'll also paste it here in the chat. And what this is a tool that we have now called Jamboard. It's kind of like a mesh between Padlet and Google Slides. And actually, I'll just link you straight to the Jamboard. That'll actually be easier. So the first link is the presentation. Here's our Jamboard. So these are things that you can use for pulse checks. How are you doing? What's working for you? What's not working for you? And if you'd like to participate, you can double click one of these sticky notes and start typing what's going well. I like ... And it's kind of like a little Padlet thing. There's extra sticky notes here on the left-hand side. You can draw pictures. You can put your Bitmoji in there. So this is a great way to kind of do a check-in with your students. And also, if you'd love to share something with me, that'll give me some idea for what to put into our next PD session. So I would love to see some people. I see Chelsea's in there. Thank you, Chelsea. Things that are going well, things that are not going super well, things that you'd like us to know or help you with in the future. Awesome. And as you're doing that, I'll just share another way that we can do pulse checks with our students. And one of the ways we can do pulse checks is with these meme check-ins, and there's a giant button on that slide that brings you to those. And so if you don't necessarily have time to get everybody into a Jamboard or into another program, just a quick pulse check. I am feeling like number 7. I am feeling like number 6. And so for those of you in the video, our live members are filling out the Jamboard. I'll return to that, but what I want to do is, like I said, I want to kind of spray with as many things as possible, but hopefully as you're trying out that Jamboard, you get a feel for what it's like. And I'm going to keep going. A couple of other tools we can use for pulse checks. We are working really hard to get all of our students logged into Zoom. And so one of the things that we can do as far as getting pulse checks information from our students, I know that a lot of us are using Google Forms, and I think that that's a tool that we can definitely use. But if we use the polling feature in Zoom, we can prepare those beforehand, and we can assign that to collect student information, so you can also use polls for attendance. So I'm gonna go ahead and how are you today? I'm gonna send it off in just a moment. And there we go. So I can then add a question beforehand, and then I can send it to the users in Zoom. And then again, I can use this to take attendance for my students if I'm collecting that data. So I have two choices. I can do anonymous or non-anonymous. And this is a great way of saying, how is the workload? You know, how is independent work going on Wednesdays? How are the due dates? How are things like that? Or just using it for SEL check-in.
Tammy,
So we've got
a quick question about the polls.
Yeah.
Is that, I know it's a feture that you can turn on in your settings on the Zoom
Yes.
portal. Is that on by default? Or
You know, I don't
turn it on? You know,
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember. I could follow up on that for sure. But
there's so many different toggles and features, which is great. But I think if some of the teachers don't know that it's
whether they have to,
it's just an easy forget, you know.
For sure. So the way that Zoom works is like there's like a setting behind the scenes, and then there's a setting live. So Josh's question is there a setting behind the scenes automatically on or off? And I have to be honest with you, I don't remember. I've changed my settings too many times. So for those of you who are here, you may have clicked the poll, you may be filling out the Jamboard, but my goal in this kind of piece is just to show you the different ways we can collect information from our students. Another tool we have for that, for pulse checks, for collecting information, for quizzes, is Schoology has that feature. And this here is just a quick video, so I'm not going to go through it necessarily. But
I've been using Google Forms for a while to do things.
One of the benefits of using Schoology quizzes is it can grade automatically for you. So we're talking about streamlining. Instead of having to go to Google Forms, get the data, check off who did it, decide on their scores, and then entering those scores in Schoology, we can do that directly in Schoology using Schoology quizzes. So this here is me translating a Google form I used to do into Schoology, and I can do that with an embedded video. Can I move the poll? Sure. Let me see if I can move my poll. I actually don't see it. Is it still there, Josh?
Yeah, it's kind of right in the middle. It says host is sharing poll results.
Okay, let me see if I can.
It's right in the middle.
Down here, stop sharing. Thank you. The things we learn when we have people in our meetings. I do so many meetings by myself.
I think you can move it. I was able to move it over on my screen so that I could see. So
thank you. So Schoology quizzes would be another way that we can do pulse checks. We can use that for attendance, and we can, just check for understanding with our students. And again, it streamlines our life because when we're using it for quizzes, we don't have to go through and grade separately. We can do that directly in Schoology. So there's a little video linked to this filing cabinet here. And then the last one, the little meme checks that I had, those are here. Thanks, Elsa. There's some of those here if you'd like to just use those for your quick. I don't really have time to do an entire elaborate quiz, poll, or Jamboard, but I have this link of these little how are you doing, so you can just paste them right in your presentation. So that was just my first, here's how to just check in with your students. If you have any feedback or questions, you're welcome to add those in the chat, and either myself or Elsa can work on those. I'm jumping back over to the Jamboard. So this is a great thing to do when your students are starting their independent practice, is to come through and just check your pulse check-in to see how things are doing. Is this a Google Doc? What's the platform? This particular tool right here is Jamboard. And the way that you get to a Jamboard is when you go to your Google Drive and you create new, how you would create a new presentation, new file, new slideshow. If you click the More button, and this hasn't been here, so you're not gonna have that moment of, I wish I had known about this. We've had it for about a week and a half. And you go down here to More. One of the choices we have here is a Google Jamboard. And if you're looking for something, I highly recommend just Googling Jamboard, check for understanding. Jamboard, student feedback, Jamboard sticky notes. And so you'll find, or you might even add templates to that, but you can basically get templates that other teachers have created, and they're super elaborate. So it's a pretty awesome way to just kind of find something that people have created and streamline it and make it easier for yourself. All right. So if you're not feeling like that was too much, then you are in the right place. And we're also going to go into, this is super important, and we're seeing this with our students. Our students are starting to get into the swing of things, but I think that one of the challenges is that sometimes we don't necessarily know what our students need until they tell us. And so that's why those pulse checks are important. But what are some ways that we can streamline things for our students? And so if you're following along in the presentation, up here in the top right, these are little planners. So one of them is a weekly planner. Hey guys, here are all your assignments that are due this week in all of your classes. Here's how you can keep track of them. And here's what your due dates are for the week. And so this I got from Giselle at Leading Edge. And you can kind of provide these to students that need it. You can print it out for them. They can print it out for themselves using file print. Or just that daily checklist. Like, guys, I just need you to make sure that you're doing this, and then this, and then this. John's saying Schoology has it. Tell me more about that, John. I haven't found that yet.
Yeah, they can just look on their calendar and see what they have every day. I mean, it's a little bit more confusing than this layout, but.
So yes, I think it depends on your student and kind of their learning style. For me, I have to rewrite my to-do list every single week just to make sure that I'm keeping track of it. So John is totally right. In Schoology, when we are looking at the calendar can just be a little bit overwhelming for students. So if that's, you know, over here, you can see my upcoming things that are due. That might help some students. They may not need to rewrite it. For some students, it is helpful to look it over. So if I go to the calendar up here in Schoology, sometimes, especially if all the assignments are due on Fridays, that can feel a little overwhelming for some people. Other people, they track it pretty easily. So it's not loading very quickly for me. I'll click it again. So there's the digital planner. Oh, so anyway, so this is the calendar view. That might work for some students. For your students that might need just a little bit more intervention, you might try one of these planner options for them.
Quick question. Do students usually have as much stuff displayed as teachers?
That, yes.
They do, Laura? Okay, thank you.
So John, you're muted. If you tap your space bar, it should unmute you quickly for some computers, not every computer.
I don't know. I was looking at a lot of students yesterday, and they have, you know, half as much because they have 3
Okay,
classes.
so this is great. So John, I'm glad you said that. So I'll move on to this piece here. Basically, so we're looking at planners, we're looking at daily schedules and checklists. What does a student see when they log into your Schoology? And I love what Tyra just said. Hold on, I'm gonna share it. I can't see the whole note here because I have my thing shrunk. So Tyra she's exactly having the same moment that I am trying to have you guys have. What do students see when you are in a presentation, when you're in your Zoom meeting and you are giving a lot of information? And so I love that she said that. She's having a tricky time following, even though I'm kind of pacing it fairly slowly. Tyra, thank you for saying that. And that's exactly why I put this here at the beginning, because it's so illuminating to sit in a meeting and you glance away for a moment, somebody taps on your door, you look to see who it is, you look back, and all of a sudden they're in a slideshow you've never seen before and you don't know what to do. And this is why we're here. We're trying to streamline this, not just for ourselves as teachers, that's next, but for our students. So if I go to Schoology and I go to my courses, and I'll go to one of the sample attendance classes that Laura has shared with us. This is the class that, you know, this is the teacher view. If I come over here to course options, I can click view course as, and what that does is that gives me the chance to see that course from the student perspective. It looks like I just have 2 members here. And so this is what this course looks like to a student in this course. Yes, she's a teacher, but she's a student in this course. And so I can see what happens when I open this folder. and I look at my Wednesday folder, here are the things that I need to do for Wednesday in this one course, right? I can come down here to the later weeks and I can see what my students are seeing. So I think in the beginning we had maybe a lot more folders. I think we're starting to streamline it a little bit. But when I go to that student's calendar, all of the due dates are populated there in Schoology. So that is what it can look like to students, depending on their course load and how many assignments are due. So let's say that I'm a student that I missed the meeting for whatever reason. I couldn't make it to that meeting. When I go back later on, I need to be able to find those things, find those resources. What did I miss during the class meeting? And so for us as teachers, what we could do for the students is tell them what they missed so that they don't have to communicate with you, hey, I wasn't here on Monday, what did I miss? So they should be able to go to Schoology, click that Monday folder, and they should be able to see what they missed. So I missed this class meeting and this teacher told me, here's what we did. We did breakout rooms and here's the activity. So as the student that missed this, I should be able to go back and click and see the slideshows, the activity that I missed to see what that was so that I'm not left guessing, was there an assignment that was due in that class meeting? And then I can come down here to whatever the asynchronous thing and I should be able to see any of the materials that the teacher used. And so the students kind of need to see this and to see what they're missing if they miss a class, to see what's due if they miss the directions, because we might be going through this and it's very organized for us. We need to provide that experience for our students. So it's super helpful for you to view it as the student so you can see what they are seeing on their end. Making sure that anything they missed is linked there so they don't have to email you, so they don't have to ask somebody else what they are missing. So we talked about routines. We talked about what students see when they miss a step. Class, I have another tool for you, so don't jump out yet, that might help with the piece, Tyra, that you're talking about. And then the other way that you can look at a full student course load that I learned actually today is if you go to, in Schoology, the tools, you can click the advisor dashboard, and that allows you to look at like a student's entire being. You would put their name in here. I'm not going to go into that, but if you want to play with that during one of our office hours, jump in. Laura would probably be better for that because I just learned about it today, but you can type in a student name and you can see what everything looks like on their end, their due dates, etc. So whether you're using Google Classroom, Schoology, Seesaw, keeping an eye on what the students are seeing on their end and how do they or their parents catch them up if they miss a step. And then I have a little, so as far as routines, students, we like our students to be able to see where they're going. So I have a couple of, in this presentation that I listed here, a couple of different templates for that. But I also have some tools for tech support. I think that one of our challenges in this new environment is that we look at our students and we see them as digital natives. We're like, hey guys, you know this, you've been doing this your whole life, you're so amazing at this. What we don't realize is that they're not used to doing it in this way. They're not used to having to look at Zoom and Schoology and your slideshow at the same time. And so one of the things that I have here is this button here called View Screens. It's actually all of the tools on this page, and I'm still developing it, are designed for you to share with students. So this is slide 10 in my presentation. This video right here shows kids how they can do what I just did to my screen. When I shared my screen with you, I pulled you guys over in my Zoom meeting so I could see you. Can you see yourselves right now? Okay. Thank you. So this is what I do to my computer so that I can see what's going on. I can see my presentation. I can navigate between the tabs. Your kids may not know how to do this. You can send them the video. What I would do in my classroom is I would, and I'm going to go back a slide or two just to show you my to-do list. All right, guys, it's Monday. You're walking into my meeting. Every day when you show up for my meeting, I need you to just straight up open that Monday meeting, that Monday folder in Schoology. That is like a given. Every time you come in, open that Monday folder. I also need you to open yesterday's learning log and make sure that you're in your Zoom meeting. If you've done those things, you can go ahead and chat while you wait for me and wait for everybody to be ready so that the students get used to having Schoology open and then the learning log. And then you're just going to share your screen the way that I did. You're looking at my entire desktop. Hey guys, all of us together, let's move our Zoom meeting over to the side. All of us together, let's open Schoology in the top left corner, make it this size. Hey everybody, the learning log, we're going to talk about that, make it small, put it down in the bottom corner. And so you're just making those things you're doing explicit, because when you tell a student, go to Schoology, their Zoom window disappears. When you tell them, hey guys, I want you to type something in the chat, their Schoology disappears. So what are some ways that we can make what we're doing on our computers explicit? I can't tell you how many times this year I've sat with teachers and said, move this window over here, move this window over here. And we worked on it for 15 minutes. Some of us have not done that with our students even once. And so we can support them in that way. And I have videos that you can just send directly to the students. They're designed for students. And I can build these. If you're like, hey, my kids really need to know how to do X, you know, tell me, I'll build those. So I have one for, you know, logging into Zoom, turning on captions, turning in files and videos for Schoology. So those are all here and they're made for your students. So I know this is a lot and I have a lot more buttons coming up and we're kind of starting to hit the end of that 30-minute I show you time. But what I want to kind of show, like just kind of bring up, like I love that Tyra said that, like, wow, this is so much coming at me at once. And so we want to be mindful of how we're doing that for our students. And so one of the things that we can do is giving our students kind of roles, jobs, responsibilities. And so I made this little pocket chart, you're welcome to steal it, where these are just some jobs that you can give your students in Zoom or Google Meet. If you're one of the teachers using Google Meet, just say, all right, Elsa, when people come up, can you just say hi and let them know that we see them? You know, Tammy, can you make sure that you're monitoring the chat if there's any questions? Because as you can see on my screen, I can't see the chat right now. I could bring the chat out, but it just takes up more of my space on my screen. And so for me, I have that chat out. There is a way to pop it out. Somebody might know how to do that. Josh, I don't remember, but I can pull that out and I can have the chat in a different window. I just don't remember how to do that.
If you go to your toolbar
Yes.
and where it says more, which should be on the right with the ellipsis, yeah, now choose chat up in the middle there.
Or you can click that little down arrow that was.
Pop out, there it is. Thank you. Okay, you guys are awesome. You're so good to me. So that's my participant tab. Now I want my chat one pop out. Okay, so anyway, that's something that, you know, I haven't learned to do. Pop out. There we go. So now I can pop out my chat, pop out my window to see who's here, unmute them, and toggle your beautiful faces. There we go. Okay. So this is kind of how I organize my screen. And my presentation is in presenter view, which is how I can make it smaller. If you just present it, it's going to take over your entire screen and you're going to need to shrink it. So different jobs that you can give the students and you can make those explicit. This top link here is links to window Tetris. I love that. Yes, window Tetris. I could actually probably make it really long and skinny. Yeah, anyway, I will get better at that. Elsa is here. She's supporting me. She's checking my chat and making sure that I'm good. She has a job to do, and I can just trust that that's happening. You can have students whose job is to put links in the chat. You can have students whose job it is to answer questions that need to be answered by, you know, just random, you know, where'd you find that? Where's the link? Where's this? Somebody comes in, let's give them all the links that they need. So I'm not doing that because that can be really distracting.
I'll do mention just a quick thing there. If you have a sub, obviously make sure let them know who's got what job. But also if you have a guest speaker and you know, a guest or something, like I've gone into other classes and then I think the teacher kind of makes an assumption. I don't know if the students are going to keep doing their jobs or not. But just like make it very explicit as well when you have someone else as a co-host or they take over or you know, whatever, just who is doing what and for how long will help a lot. Because as a guest, I would have loved to have those students do those jobs, but I think the students assume that they shouldn't and the teacher assumed that they would. So just always make it clear, basically.
Elsa, you're awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So, hey, Miss Prettle's here. Make sure you're still doing your jobs. That, you know, just something that you can just say to make it clear. So I have, gosh, our time. Okay. So I had the question, so I'm doing office hours and sometimes I don't want my camera on. And so how do I go away from my keyboard in office hours? What I do is I have this Jamboard. I created this just using Jamboard, and I share this to my office hours when I'm not camera on, so people know that I am there. And so it's just a little note, and I can take notes on here and just say, hey, I'm here. I'm just away from my computer, so that people walking into my office hours know that I am there. And so that's just a quick little idea for if your students are independently working, what are they supposed to be working on? Step 1, step 2, step 3, and then this. And so it's explicit to people who come in, they came in for help and they don't see you. What are those things that you can communicate to them about what they're supposed to be doing? I'll have you click this on your own. This circle one here, this is just some little Google Chrome tips that I have. My favorite one, yes, whiteboard and Zoom would be another option. I haven't used that, but that's a great option. Thank you, John. You'll notice if you look in my toolbar that if I were to click my Gmail, I don't have that little X that closes my Gmail because I have pinned those to my left-hand toolbar. So if I right-click a tab, I can pin it, so I can't accidentally close that during one of my presentations. So it takes away the little X that would normally let that tab be closed. So this tab has a little X, I could accidentally close that, but if I pin it, I can't. So I love that tool, and I just learned about it. And then the other one that I just learned about is that if you have those 3 or 4 things that you open every day when you turn on your computer, if you put those into a folder by bookmarking them, so every day I come in, I need my office hours, I need my Schoology, I need my Zoom open. If you right click that bookmarked folder, you can open all. Boom, boop, 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 boop. There goes my entire day ready to go, and I don't have to physically look for any of those slideshows. So that's your static meeting link, your presentations, things like that. You just pop them into a bookmark folder and there they are. So again, I want to be mindful of the Q&A time at the end. I have some tips here for Schoology. Yes, Tyra, you'll have 15 minutes. So I have a couple of tips in Schoology here, and I'll just kind of, I borrowed a teacher's Schoology just to kind of, I wanted to talk about saving to resources, quizzes, and exit tickets. I'll just say that if you are still kind of figuring Schoology out, your best bet is to come get one-on-one support from Laura. Would be my first choice because she's amazing at, but I want to jump in while she's doing that because I learn something every time. But if you're still kind of stuck, if it takes you more than, I'm going to say at this point, it should take you less than 3 minutes to make your folders in Schoology. If it's taking you longer than that to create your folders, go visit Laura. Deer in the headlights. Go visit Laura. Using those Schoology resources, all you should have to do is go in and just change some of the names, but just putting the folders in there should take you no more than 3 minutes. If so, I want you to go get some help. Come get some help. We're available, or just email one of us and we'll schedule a time. Breakout tips. I found this really great slideshow that was, it's a little busy for me. It's even busier than my slideshows, but, and it's loading up. It's basically the different ways that you can monitor our students performing during their breakout sessions. And my favorite one is just to have one shared slideshow. Everybody's working from the same slideshow, and you can open that up and see what everybody's doing. So you'll know which breakout rooms are not doing any work, and you don't have to click each group's group work. You just look at your slideshow that you created and you can see everybody's work in there. This is not loading up for me, so I'm just going to, I have 1 more minute. And so that's just something that you can do, and I can show you if I can ever get that thing open. Right now, in the chat, I want you to answer the question. What are most of your emails about? And if you don't feel like putting it out there, you're welcome to just think it to yourself. The emails you get are mostly about what? Are they about grades and assignment help? Are they about tech help, tech support? When are you available? What time are you doing this? What time is this? What time is this? What did I miss during group work? Where are all the links to all this stuff? Or is it parents asking for help? Please grade my late work right now. Advisory. Chelsea, is it advisory like the schedule of advisory, or just the work you did during advisory, not
That was
having
a previous comment that we could do some of this PD and advisory with our
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So grading and assignments. So this is where I want to go back to that Schoology view as. So if it's, okay, so please score my. This is where, and I don't know the answer to this because I understand the sense of urgency students have. The way that we are going to best streamline our communication is to go back to what they're asking us about. Is it because most of the kids want us to score their late work? Maybe how we respond to that is to have a canned message in Gmail. You can do that by going to your Gmail, and I kind of don't want to open up my Gmail because I saw somebody sent me a Hangout message and I don't know who that was. So if you go to Gmail, you can do a canned response. I'll take a note. I will make something for canned responses and add it to this. But basically what happens is, hey, can you grade my late work? Canned response. I grade assignments every Thursday, and I will make sure to get that to you as soon as it's available, whatever your grading policy is. Tech support with apps. Josh, maybe what we do is in our Schoology, we have a folder for tech support, and it can be just like a slide with links, kind of like what my tech support is. And click here if you're stuck on Edpuzzle. Click here if you're stuck on Gmail. Click here if you're stuck on, you know, such and such.
It's, yeah, there's specific apps that only I teach, and it's like coding. So it's me going through students' code and that kind of stuff. So it wouldn't, I don't know if it would apply to.
Yeah, okay, so that's a little trickier. So maybe for you, the streamline is, I look at these things on Tuesdays between 3 and 4, kind of like office hours, and just, you know, make that time to make that manageable for yourself.
Yeah, I had them send me screenshots of their code that I have to go through, and then the only other thing is office hours. So that's just what I've been doing right now.
How are the office hours going for you? Is that enough time?
They're good. They're good. The problem is that with code, you could be one problem that takes 5 minutes to fix, or it takes 5 hours to fix.
Right.
And so I'm just, you know, I have the waiting room, and I'm just, hey, everybody, we'll get to you in a moment. And so, yeah, I've had to do some office hours at nighttime just to handle a kid. And I always assure them, I will give you an extension on time. You will not have points deducted, just so so their nerves are settled.
Right. They know that you're coming.
Yeah, I say, we will get this figured out before the final game is due, or something like that. So that's been working.
Perfect. So Chelsea and Tyra were just talking about kind of the policies. I think that having some clear policies and getting the kids used to them, and like not having exceptions to that. Like, don't respond to that one kid on accident on a Tuesday afternoon and be like, oh no, now I have to respond to every Tuesday email. That is awesome. Assignments to grade. So if we're using Schoology to grade those can go straight to Schoology. And if you're getting a ton of emails through Schoology, filter those. I can show you how to do that too. A lot of time answering student emails and going through, it got time consuming. Yes. Feedback in distance learning can be incredibly time consuming. So trying to find the different ways that we can streamline that. So go to your email, figure out what are most of your emails about, and think about what you can do to prevent those. Can you create one video? Can I put my presentation slides in my Schoology every day with my notes written on them? You can take notes in Zoom over top of your slideshow, save it as a JPEG, and you can put those in your Schoology for the students if you're taking notes that way. Yes, Tyra, I have that here actually. Having like your email signature says all your policies. Thank you. Here's when I respond to your messages. Here's my office hours link. Make sure that you are putting your period, your name. Hey, you know what? You want to really help me? Put the thing that you want in the title. Elsa did that yesterday. She sent a message to PACT. She's like, I will be at PACT at this time. And then her email was like, see title of my email. That's, you know, that was what you needed to know. So it's, you know, helping the students streamline this for you. And also even just creating a message board. If you know, you would have to norm that for sure, but creating a message board for students to help each other. You know, if you have 6 students asking about that tech tool that you're using, not so much in Josh's because that's coding, but you know, 6 students asking that for that support in tech, don't give 6 answers. Tell the whole class, send it through Schoology, send it through however you're sending that information to kids, or create a message board so students can go back and check. You can use Jamboard for this. Hey, I am stuck on this. Is anybody else stuck on this? Is anybody else having this problem? And then they're going to find different ways of supporting each other instead of always going to you for that help. Yes, Chelsea spent a lot of time trying to find where students are supposed to be. Yeah, so the email signature, I loved that too, and I'm glad that that's helpful. So I have like more pieces, and maybe what I'll do is maybe I'll just finish kind of, I'll record it and just kind of show you and add it. It won't be live because I want to respect the Q&A time that I promised you. But just from what we're doing so far, and I love that people are adding things in the chat, but my video is not going to show the chat, so I'm trying to kind of repeat those out loud for people that are in the video. If there's something, so streamlining Schoology use is another one that I haven't gotten to, but again, if you're still stuck in Schoology, we would rather just give you one-on-one anyway. Using IA support, I have a little graphic on that page that just basically says, here's the different things that you can do with IAs. It's not just them sitting and talking to one student. Here's some different ways that they can support your whole class and ways to make technology work for your students. So thank you. So what questions might you have in our last 9 minutes together? Or if you're just kind of feeling full, I won't be offended to see your face disappear, although I'd love to see you stick around. What questions, suggestions? I love how John was adding some ideas to the chat as we were going, but if there's something that you're like, oh, I really wish that you had said this, or oh, I'm missing out on this. Tyra's ready. Thank you, Tyra.
I love this, and as you can see in my comments, I really think that you should, I think it would be really valuable to have this as a PD, and like I said, giving us the time to not just see this, but then try it, and then to review something with some colleagues so we could make sure the way that we're delivering it is actually useful, because I know that we're all being mindful and we're learning, but it's going to become, I mean, you know, I think we definitely need to get better at this for our students. So that's all. I think we should put it in as a PD as soon as we can.
So Tyra, here's what I would say. This is one of my challenges as the TOSA. It's like I have these ideas, and Elsa and I every day, we're like, where do we share these? Can you invite me to your PIP meetings when you have the mental space? Because the other problem is, like, if I plug myself into a meeting when it's not a good time, that can be a challenge also. So talk to your activator, and if there's like a piece of this, then, you know, you can invite me to those PIP meetings. You can, you know, schedule with your grade level team. I will do this any Wednesday of the month. Just like schedule it with me if there's something that you're like, I just want to see this and have time to do that. The problem with these blanket things is I don't know what everybody needs and when they need it. So
I would imagine, like, I honestly would imagine, even if this isn't your cup of tea, like all of this might not be the way that you want to set up your stuff, but I would imagine that every single teacher needs to see how the students see the way we navigate. And this is very illuminating. So I honestly think this isn't all staff. And I mean, if I'm speaking for everyone, you disagree with me, feel free to like stop me. But I think everyone needs to see this. This is not like a department or a PIP thing. Like, every single teacher needs to be aware of this, because I was not aware of just how much jumping happens, and
I warned you. Imagine when you haven't warned somebody, right?
No, I love it. Like, this is absolutely like, and the more things we bring in, the easier it is, and we bounce from share. So anyway, I really honestly think that you guys should, like, I'd be happy to bend the ear of an admin, but like, I think this should go into a PD ASAP.
Okay,
staff one.
That
follow-ups.
Great.
I second Tyra, because I learned the advisory board from you, and then we used it on 6th grade when we had our meeting, and all my 7th grade advisory, and the rest of my teachers in 7th grade haven't heard about it, and I learned it from you. And now in the dance department, we're creating a folder with the videos that you created to help my students.
Awesome.
So I think we will benefit as a school and as a department from that.
Right, and we all have to take the pieces that we kind of know. I love this feedback, and I think John has like an amazing idea of just like, let's have other teachers record our classrooms. I think that's amazing. I think that as academies, some of us are there and some of us probably need to just get used to that. But 100%, nothing's more illuminating than seeing yourself teach. I look at these recordings afterwards and I was like, what was I doing? And then Josh had something he wanted to kind of bring up as well. He has his hand raised in the chat.
Yeah, sorry, I'll get rid of that. I was just I put it on that Jamboard, and I saw somebody else did it as well, and there might not be any solution. When I generally like Zoom for a lot more things, certainly the breakout rooms is Zoom-tastic, and it's more secure than Google Meets, I think. But as soon as we switched over to Zoom, I had robots underwater, every single kid, and I said, if you're using wireless headphones, take them out, just use your device's internal hardware. But man, there are some kids that, and this is in office hours too, where I only have one kid instead of 30 kids, I cannot hear them at all. It's lagging 20 seconds behind, and they have to communicate just with chat, which we do, but and so I realize it could be their Wi-Fi, could be that they're on a 1970s Chromebook. But I was just curious if there's anything that can be done on our end of things, or because I felt like going back to Google Meets just for the audio.
I have a quick question for everybody else on that too. I only have that issue in the afternoons. Like my last class is always kind of bad, but not in the morning.
Do you leave your meeting link open all day? I would highly recommend that, like at lunch, you shut down your computer and reopen it.
I shut it down every class.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
it's always the sixth graders.
The ones that need it the most. Like shutting down your computer helps. I was trying to do some stuff from home, and I was trying to do 2 computers on my Wi-Fi, and it wasn't very good. I had to refresh restart my computer every hour or so. It's just bogging my computer down. So Josh, I don't know, and I'm not sure if Laura is still here. But I know that she's working with IT on some of the bandwidth things, and so. I took a note. I have a meeting on Thursday with them. I'll see if there's anything.
I've been telling the kids that have Chromebooks, just because that's the lowest base device, that they should probably restart at lunchtime at least, just halfway through the day, just to refresh. So yeah, I don't know how.
And like closing their tabs, deleting any extensions they don't use, and I know that from just sitting in middle school classrooms, I'd be like, hey, open up your Chromebook. I want to show you something, and like 52 extensions opened up. So showing the kids, it's like Chrome : / extensions or something like that. Laura, totally, thank you. But there's a way to check your extensions. This one right here. So you can give them that link. And you can just go in and delete any extensions that you aren't using.
Yeah, there you go.
Pear Deck is amazing. That's kind of a second level. Love it. Do you pay for it out of pocket? And Tyra, I'm working on, Tyra and Gareth, I'm working on kind of like a Pear Deck versus Nearpod thing, because Nearpod is similar to Pear Deck, but I think it has some of the asynchronous features that are free. So I'm still working on that.
Yeah, I've been trying Nearpod. I've only used it maybe twice with my seniors, but the free version has more than Pear Deck has. Mm-hmm. And it's really interactive. It's pretty incredible.
So for those of you who are wondering, Pear Deck and Nearpod are basically like little plugins to slides that allow you to ask questions on the fly, and you can get like this report. The free version of Pear Deck doesn't give you a very elaborate report, but I believe Nearpod does. The teacher dashboard, exactly, that's what it is. It's the teacher dashboard.
Yeah, the teacher dashboard is the only real way that you can monitor that you can see who's responding without this, because it all goes anonymous, when the kids see it, but it's the only way for you to see it first, and then you can also make some moves based on that. And I don't think I really use Pear Deck truly if it weren't for that feature, because it sparks great conversation but you want to be able to see what's coming up first in many cases.
And you can anonymize the answers too, which is great, because then you can use it on the fly.
Right, the kids see it anonymously, but if you don't have access to the teacher view first, then you were just going in cold too, and you don't know what pops up. And if you're talking sensitive subjects, that could be problematic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So pulse checks, kind of streamlining communication routines. Any other things that you want to send me with that aren't already on that Jamboard? If they're on the Jamboard, I'm going to read that again in a little bit, but anything that we can kind of put on the agenda for later?
If someone could miraculously help us figure out how to grade efficiently using Schoology, it just takes so much time to click. And I don't know if there is a possible way, but things that would normally never take any time are taking a gross amount of time. So
how are you, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay.
How are you assigning them? Are you assigning them through Schoology Drive assignments?
Yeah, I have the assignment, they upload it to Schoology. So then it, when they submit it, it gets submitted to Schoology, and I have to click, and this the lag time on the click open to do all of that on small things. Because I'm not simply going, oh, you submitted it, good enough. I actually want to see what has been submitted. In most cases.
Right.
So I'm doing discussion boards for things, but there are certain things that I do need to open, and it just takes a lot of time.
No, it does. I wish Cody was here, because he was talking to me about Schoology from his VLA experience. But let me talk to him, because he had some ideas early in the summer before I was familiar with Schoology. But VLA, because they use it, I'm sure they have some amazing tips for us. So I'll reach out to either Cody or one of them. But they do get put on your computer, which is helpful if you want to just kind of look at all of them. So if you go to your Drive and type in Schoology Drive assignments, it's organized by your class. And then within that class, it's organized by the assignment. And so you can come through here and I don't have a ton of samples, but I can open those from here just to kind of look at them more quickly. And just like, if I'm just trying to get like a quick check on see if they are doing the assignments, if you have the folder on your computer that syncs with Google Drive, I don't, for some reason it hasn't worked ever since my computer was re-imaged. You can go through here and you can, let me try to find something that I can. So if you use the space bar on something that's on your computer in Google Drive, it lets you glance quickly at all of those things. So that might be an option too. I'm trying to. All right, hi. So where we left off, we were talking about the things that kind of bog us down with our communication. We were deciding what those things were and brainstorming some of the ways that we can minimize the amount of communication it takes to address those things. And one of the questions was, or one of the things we talked about was using kind of templates in Gmail to make things go faster. So I went ahead and linked that to this page. So basically where we left off, we were talking about streamlining communication. How do we communicate with students, families? What is the time suck? What is the thing that's taking us the most time? So I'm going to go ahead and move along. We talked about how our signature can just give all the information that people might want to know about what we're doing here, and when they can find me, when they can reach me, when I'm going to communicate with them. I promised a little bit about instructional aids, and these are just a very, very basic brainstorm about all the different hats that our instructional aides can wear. I think a lot of our teachers are having them do small group instruction, but as I did some research, we found out that a lot of instructional aides are doing co-teacher things like modeling lessons, helping to repeat the steps. One of my favorite things about having another adult in the room is that I can talk to them and they can kind of repeat back what I'm saying. I would say like, hey, Susie, like, did you hear what I just said? We're going to try this out. Or, what are you thinking about doing? And, adults generally have a quicker way of responding than students. And so it gives other students a chance to think about what they're going to do. It's also fantastic to have them there as a co-host, moving students in and out of the waiting room if there's some disruptions. Breakout support, we found out that each Zoom meeting can only have one host, meaning only one person can really be in charge of moving students in and out of breakouts. However, if you put your instructional aide or another student co-host into a breakout room, they can then click the breakout room in the bottom toolbar of Zoom, and they can go in between the different breakout rooms. So breakout room support is a great way for you to use your instructional aids. Instructional aids can demo lessons for you or demo parts of lessons or do the student work while you're teaching and then have that, instant like, hey, what did you do for this particular piece? They can do read alouds, which is super fun, and they can also provide you some feedback on how your lesson went. Be open to that if you can, because it is so awesome to see from another person's perspective what is going on in the classroom, things that we might miss on our own. So it's just a quick things that we can do within our instructional aids, and I would love to hear back from some instructional aids about other things that aren't on here. And let's keep going. This page is super busy, and I'm sorry. This is, of course, we're in a digital year, so of course the digital page is the biggest one right now. So basically, let me put my face down here. Technology. We want it to work for our students. Less equals more. We don't need to use all the tools right away. I'm trying to show you the very basic Google tools that we can use, but there are others that we can certainly look at in a more advanced session, but just really slow down. Anything you're doing, share your screen, share your desktop, show your students how you're doing that, slow down and give them time to access. Have them use the tools, thumbs up, thumbs down. I have it open, I don't have it open yet, I can't find it. So I have a link to my student video about just kind of showing the students how their screen might look during a Zoom meeting, so you're welcome to click that. The Schoology button, I'm still kind of working on a couple of links, but one of the teachers had asked for a link to Schoology course materials icons, like what does it mean when I do an assignment versus a quiz versus an assessment? So that is that. During the last portion of the session, we had gotten the question about some of the audio issues that people are having in Zoom. So I found a little, just check these sorts of things. You can send that directly to the students so you can see if your audio is working. I get a lot of questions about, how we can engage students, how we know the students are watching our videos. And one of the ways we can certainly do that is by doing polls, quick checks, things like that. This right here takes us to this page that I found. And what's neat about this is that you can sneak in a secret word in your presentation, in your flipped classroom, and you can just at one point be like, the secret word is Tammy. And then you can use that to lock your Google form if you're using Google Forms, or something that you can add to your Schoology quizzes that you are using to check for understanding so that you know that they've watched the video. And Edpuzzle is another way to do that. Edpuzzle is a separate app that you can use. So got everything over there. Something cool, a neat little tip that I learned about PDFs is if you want to share just pieces of a PDF with your student, you're going to open that up, for example, here in Preview. It's the one that I prefer to use. You can use different tools in here. If you want to hide something, you can annotate using a rectangle and it'll, hide information that you're trying to hide. But what's great about this is an entire 60-page article, but I really just want you to read this part about vocabulary instruction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do Command P for print, and I'm going to pick the pages that the article falls on, page 24, oh, sorry, I think it's 25, 25 through 31. And now what you'll see in this little preview window is only 7 windows are showing. So I can click those there. And then if I come down to the bottom left, I can open in Preview. I'll tell you something, a reason I would do that in just a moment. I can save it as a PDF, put it on my computer, put it in Schoology. So once I do save as PDF, it's going to give me the, what do you want to call it? Where do you want to put it? What I like about opening this in Preview, so right now, again, this is a 60-page kind of thing here. But if I open it in Preview after I've cut it down, if I'd like you to read this, but I want it to be in like a smaller, I don't want to give you 7 pages back to back. I guess this would be 3 pages back to back. I'm going to do Command Print on this 7-page document. And right here where it says Preview, I can change this to Layout. And I can say, hey, I'd like 2 pages per. And so you can see now that it shrinks down my pages and makes them fit on one slide. Or this other cool thing I can do is instead of going to Layout, I can go to, I think it's paper handling. Nope, I lost it. Hold on. Color options, margin. Oh, I think it is in Preview. copies per page. So what I can do is say, hey, I need 30 copies of this, but now I can make it so that each page I can slice it in half and make like a little book with it. And that just kind of makes it smaller so I can print it, save some paper. So that is one of the tech tools that I wanted to showcase for you. And those are typed out here. Navigation. So I think this is really important for your students, but I think that it's happening to our teachers as well. Sometimes you don't really know, like you click something and then your Zoom window's gone. You click something, you can't find your Google Meet. This is especially important, especially happens to people when we are projecting to our projector or a TV. And so I want you to look down here in my dock. Sometimes you might have to hover. Sometimes it's on the left or right or the bottom, but basically where your apps are. And if I click and hold an app, it's going to show me all the open versions of that. And if I don't have anything open, I can quit just to stop it from bogging down my computer. I'm going to click and hold on preview, and you can see that I have 2 different copies of that file open. Here's my large one out of 60 pages. Here's my small one out of 7 pages. If I go to Google Chrome and click and hold it, you can see that I have 3 different Google Chrome windows open. And so that is really helpful if, oops, sorry about that, if I lose what I'm doing and I just need to go back and say, where is my Google slide presentation? That's going to be in Google Chrome. So that is a helpful little tip about how to navigate. And then one of the last pieces of using technology with our students is there are some amazing resources here about different Chromebook shortcuts. And so we saw this on Facebook, a lot of us in the last week, where if the student pushes Alt and then the left or the right bracket, it'll actually just automatically like put the students' windows side by side and shrink them down. So teaching your students how to do that is super helpful. But if you click that link, you're going to see this free tool that I found on Teachers Pay Teachers that walks the students through those different shortcuts. So kind of shows them how to use it. And that would be something really helpful as you're teaching your class. You can say, like, here's how to go find tabs in your on your Chromebook. Here's how you can go save, copy, paste, do, and undo. So really helpful for you to know those so that you can share those with your students, especially if you're using them in your classroom. So I think that is all of the tech tools. And that was the end. So we almost made it to the end of our PD session, but hopefully you appreciated, had a chance to kind of think through the tools that you might use, but certainly jump into office hours, email me, ask questions. In particular, let me jump back to, I'm going to give you a headache for just a second. Particular things that I can do to send directly to your students. I would love these ideas. What are the little things that you're doing that your students need to know? For example, I could make one for that alt bracket to split the Chromebook screen to show them. I did make one that's very similar. It's this one here, the view screens one. It's very similar. It was just, I made it before I recognized that there was a tool already in Chromebooks that I'm learning right alongside you. So thank you, and I hope that you found something that made it worth your time, and have a great day.